As long as you just ask me the question.
I'm going to ask you the question. My first question is, what's your name and where do you come from?
My name is Ron Carmel. I'm from San Francisco. I'm one half of 2D Boy along with Kyle Gabler, and we made World of Goo.
World of Goo has been phenomenally successful. Congratulations on
Thanks.
that. Now, your next move, well, first let's go back. Tell me how World of Goo started. Where was the kernel of inspiration?
The kernel of inspiration was a game called Tower of Goo, which is a little toy that Kyle made when he was in grad school. I think it was in 2005. That kind of seemed to get some traction with a lot of people, and that's how we decided to base our first game off of.
So it's your first game, and you explicitly decided to stay indie with that. Why is that?
Well, both of us worked for EA before, which is a big, large, actually kind of nice corporation and very cushy. But we wanted to do our own thing. We wanted creative control. We wanted to be able to both fail and succeed, which was we were going to do neither at working at a large company.
And do you think, though, that your experience working at EA helped in any way in terms of your, the way that you built the game, the way that you thought about it, the way you designed it?
Yeah, for me, absolutely. I'd started trying to do kind of side projects in the past, but it wasn't until working at EA for a couple of years that having gone through the full life cycle with 3 or 4 small games, that I realized, oh, you know what? Yeah, I could totally do this, like end to end.
Really? Now that's quite positive thinking for anybody out there who wants to create their own indie game. Is it possible? Just would you recommend they start in traditional games, or would you recommend they just dive into the process themselves?
Either one. I don't know. It's some people feel more comfortable just diving into it, and it's fun, kind of just saying, screw it, I'm gonna follow my inspiration. That's great. For me, it was really helpful to have worked at a larger company and kind of see the whole thing through. I think most people have a lot to learn from working at a larger company and working on a game first with someone else with a little bit of guidance, but some people just don't need that. They want to just jump right in.
I imagine, though, that we're going to start seeing quite a few, whether it's 2-man, 3-man, small teams, as companies like EA start laying people off, and other big companies, NCSoft in the UK has laid off quite a few people.
Yeah.
So do you think that this is a great time for indie games, or do you think that these people will find work elsewhere? Maybe in banking. No, not in banking.
It remains to be seen. I really don't know. I mean, some people really are comfortable with the notion of like, hey, I'm gonna take a year or 2 years or whatever it takes to make my own game, and other people just really need the security of a salary, and the risk involved is not they're not built for that. So whatever works.
How much do you think World of Goo's success was really bolstered by the independent game awards, the independent game festivals that you guys seem to dominate?
That was huge for us. The biggest thing we noticed after the IGF was that people started returning our calls and people started contacting us. Before that, we were just some, 2 guys in the garage that nobody really spat in our direction at all. After that, when we called somebody, then there tended to be a recognition. Even if there wasn't, we could kind of say, hey, our game did this and that and the other at the IGF, and then they took us a little bit more seriously. So I think it's good to have to show game at festivals, to show, win prizes if you can. Awesome, right? It just gets people to take you a little bit more seriously.
Now, what are the next stages with World of Goo? Because you made a big announcement quite recently about the PC launch.
PC launched first, actually, and then right along with WiiWare. Then we launched in Europe, and we're sorry about the delay, everyone. And now we're finally going to launch in Japan very soon, hopefully in April.
We talked yesterday, or rather you talked yesterday, on the Indie Games panel about being successful as an indie game developer. Can you talk a little bit about your personal experience and how it is different from being an independent game developer to working at something like EA?
It's really different in every kind of way. I mean, I think working at a larger company, there tend to be more people and you need to take care of fewer things. At a small company, if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So you constantly have to kind of keep a big picture view of it. There's also much more of a sense of, hey, this is mine and I'm involved with this and this is my responsibility. And there's a sense of pride that kind of creates the drive for it that, working at a larger company, you often are, development process is often very heavily dictated by deadlines and by budget, and so you kind of say, oh, well, here's the list of things that we wanted to do in the game, and, well, to keep it under budget and to keep it in the right time, let's cut this and change that and get this out of here entirely. And when we're doing the game, it's more of a, well, here's the game we're going to create, and this is the things that we're going to do, and it's going to take a lot longer. Oh well. So there's a little bit more of a weight given to the creative process and a little bit less to the scheduling and budget.
You should probably count yourself lucky, though, because you had the funds and all those types of things. Where are some of the sources that people can get funds if they do want to make indie games? Or is it expensive?
They don't need funds. I mean, just live cheaply. You don't need... I didn't have a car. I mean, granted, I didn't have student loans. My rent was relatively cheap. I wasn't traveling the world or anything. We just didn't spend that much money, maybe like a couple of grand a month on average, and that's all it took. So, I mean, 2 years of working at EA, I saved enough to live off of for 2 years afterwards. It just, living expenses is the only thing that takes funds. The rest was practically nothing.
Macaroni and cheese?
Macaroni and cheese. Kyle likes to say talk about how he used the kitty shampoo instead of soap, and it's a whole thing.
All right, let's take a bigger picture at the minute, and let's talk briefly about South by Southwest. What's been your experience thus far here?
I really like it. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to come and there'd be a panel. I was actually kind of worried that people won't show up for the panel because for some reason we weren't listed on the website, but the turnout was really good, actually. I'm really kind of impressed with Joel DeYoung, who organized the panel, and what a good job he did moderating it. It was really encouraging to see a lot of people there to ask questions, and really good, interesting questions that I hadn't thought of before. But overall, I spent most of my time checking out films and hanging out. I'm loving Austin.
Austin is a great city. Now, do you think that there's a role for games at this conference, or do you think it should just remain web-based?
I just have no idea. This is my first time attending the conference, so... But so far, I'm having so much fun. Maybe next year when I come here, I'll have a little bit more kind of understanding of what there is and what I should spend my time on. But I didn't see a lot of gaming stuff here. The South by Southwest Screenburn Arcade, I think they call it, seemed kind of like around the corner all the way down the hall, and didn't seem like it was a big focus. But who knows? Like as far as the rest of the things, the creativity that I saw here, I feel like indie games really do belong here. They're just kind of doesn't seem to be a focus quite yet.
Well, that's really interesting. And my final question, coming back to your indie game experience, what are some of the things that you wish you'd known when you were starting out?
I'm glad you asked that. Everything that we learned over the last 2 years, I wish I'd known earlier. I'm actually Kyle and I are giving a talk at GDC this year about everything you wanted to know about going indie, but were afraid to ask. So hopefully others will be able to learn from our experience and not have the pains that we did along the way.
Any sneak previews? Because we'll be at GDC as well.
Cool, I'll see you there then.
Oh, so no sneak previews?
No.
Even one?
One sneak preview. We're going to share numbers. It's going to be good.
Excellent. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex.